Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Yeah, Alex looks like she's ready for Nashville now.
Yeah.
This is not a Nashville outfit.
It's Halloween
it's a
today.
Texas outfit. The guy who tried to pry the ball out of Mookie Betts' did you see the update on that? It was Gronk's friend from college.
Oh yeah, that's old news.
Well, excuse me.
Josh and Turner's fall. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
I'm
so,
speechless.
are you supposed to be Drew Bledsoe?
94.
Yeah,
Pats
94
fan?
Pats
94 Pats fan?
Came back.
Other
Oh, it's
than the
94.
uniform.
We got year 2 of Drew Bledsoe. We're ready.
That's actually 95.
Ah, no.
I did not wear that shirt in 94.
No.
That's the Golden Girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who's Betty
Yes,
White?
That was Sophia.
Paul is a rabid cross-dresser.
That's what I said. This is just Paul on a weekend here.
Evan, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't wear a costume. Or maybe that is tight pants.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and boy, that was some game that we saw. They almost pulled it out, but we saw the good and the bad of Drake Maye, and to me, great. I am all for the mistakes, believe it or not. This is why I made the case early on that he should start from day one, because let's make these mistakes. Let's get them out of the way. Let's learn. I am not upset with it, although, I would have liked to win the game, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So I consider Sundays another step in the progress of Drake Maye becoming an NFL quarterback, and I'm happy with what I saw.
I like it. Nice.
So that's it.
You know what?
And
Thanks for watching.
You can just
We're
see it on
gonna
my
go.
face, right? You can see it on my face. I hate that. I hate that I agree with him. I hate that I can't argue.
Yeah,
Meh.
I can't argue either. I mean, look, the one thing that I come back to is that you have to be aware of the guy you drafted and the skill set of the player that you drafted. And this is not a game manager conservative quarterback. This is a playmaking player at the position, and with that, just like it did for Josh Allen and just like it did for many others in that mold, turnovers and bad plays come with
Yep.
the
But the
description.
play is never over until it's over.
Right, and that's the positive. I mean, obviously the last throw to Ramondre Stevenson is sort of the microcosm of that entire thing, but there's other plays within the game. There's the 95 rushing yards in the game. Like, those are all the value adds that he brings to the table, but he also does lead the league in turnover-worthy play rate, and he takes a lot of sacks, and those are things that they're going to have to work out over the course of time.
Sure.
Yeah,
And better to work it out in a game than in the virtual reality room.
Yeah,
Sure
I
enough.
couldn't agree more with Freddie. Mike and I talked about it a lot in the post game with Matt, and yeah, and like if this game took place in 2026, I'm not talking about it the same way.
Right.
But it's his 4th career start, so yeah, I'm not like closing my eyes to all the bad plays that he made.
Right. No, we'll talk about those too.
But I think that Fred's point about this is why you want to play him, so maybe you have an opportunity that this time next year, those plays are out of him.
Right.
Yeah.
He understands when he, is maybe the pocket's breaking down. I need to have a little pocket awareness and protect the ball better. Or, maybe when that safety is going to be able to make up some ground when it looks like I'm, single coverage down the field, stuff like that. There's going to be mistakes that just happen, but like the fumble to me in particular really.
That's the worst one.
That was a bad play.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the worst one. The first pick was pretty bad, but just the lack of awareness in the pocket,
Yeah.
to me bothered me. But it's so outweighed by all the plays that you see. And just think about the guy made his 4th career start. It's a very conservative offensive system in general. By design, it's supposed to be kind of a conservative. And in reality, they attempted 53 passes and 12 runs in this game. Like when you take out, like I all 8 of the Drake Maye scrambles were all not by design.
They're supposed to be passes.
Those are passes.
Right.
4 sacks. Those are supposed to be passes. They attempted 12 conventional runs.
Yeah.
The rest were passes.
Yep.
4th game that he ever played.
Yep.
So, like, I'm going back to Nuke LaLoosh. We got some serious bleep here.
Yeah.
Like, there's some serious ability that they need to.
What do you think, Mike?
I
Sort
know.
of-
I feel bad that it just makes me mad at the rest of the team for not stepping up and helping them a
He's
little
mad
more.
at the rest of the team.
Sorry.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
It's a good take.
I like it.
I'm frustrated.
Fred's proud of
I'm
him.
frustrated that
You're
we're
mad.
we're
Proud.
talking about the same stuff every week, and I echo everything you guys said about Drake, and that's really exciting, and it's certainly different than the last few years than what we've seen. Where, like, I feel like I've gotten into a mode with the previous quarterbacks that you get down, it's over. Like you get 10 points is about all you can bear to spare the other team, but I'm sick of talking about the same lack of a run offense and the defense not being able to make plays. And, it's just Drake, it seems like he's willing the team to get what they got in this game. And I just like to see that from some of the other players. I don't see the other players leaving it on the field like I saw him kind of leave it on the field in his 4th start, and that's just as the afterglow of watching him do what he did, and then they lose the game, and that's, the first, like, God, we were so close.
Good, and keep that feeling, and I hope that the coaches and the personnel people feel the same way. It's Deuce, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's me, it's Matt in the booth. That was our preamble, but just to play off what you say, you're not happy with the way the rest of the team is stepping up.
Yeah.
You may finish the season feeling the same way. I don't know if there's any answer to that right now, and with the trade deadline coming in less than 4 hours, I don't think we're going to get any answers from that either. So we might have to just deal with that for the rest of the season. But now you've got Drake. At least you think that you have the guy. All the more incentive to do what's right around him.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All the more incentive to, put extra hours into the draft prep. Spend a lot more money in free agency and turn over every rock to make sure you find the right fits for this team. Because you've got something here and you do not want to waste it.
No, and I think he can supercharge a lot of those elements that you talk about, and they might not be on the roster right now, but I think we all agree that a wide receiver who can get down the field and catch the ball, like, that's going to be a nice element to put into this offense at some point, you hope, that can really take advantage of what this kid can do and what this team absolutely needs. And I think the unknown is, how does the rest play out as, all right, you do put some key pieces in place around him, only a few. Like, Paul, you've said it 100 times that once you get the quarterback, it can happen pretty quick. I think I'm a little bit, and this is just within the moment, I don't overall feel like, God, they're so far away. Like, I think that if you get some pieces, the rest of it will look better. But at the same time, in this particular moment, I'm like, God, it seems like they're so far away. Like, why can't these guys rally around this kid and really start to, form their identity around him?
So let me ask you a question. Right now, are you more confident that they can get this defense up to speed for next year or the offense?
Offense.
Right. Doesn't it seem right now like the defense is the bigger task?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just everything's been flipped on its head, Fred. That's what's so weird is, like, I feel like the last 3 years we've spent, like, kind of wondering just if we just had a quarterback. I mean, I know there's more to it than that, and, we've talked about offensive line and number ones and all that kind of stuff, but I think we came into the season, granted different personnel at first, that they can compete with this team. Like, this is, these guys are good enough, and they've had some injuries, and I think the other disappointing part of it is just, you don't have to have all the talent in the world to be better than one of the bottom feeders in the NFL. I just think that even if you're the least talented team in the league, if you've got the right ingredients and the coaching staff is preaching the right things, that those teams can be, I'm not saying they can be better than 25th, but that's what's disappointing me right now is, like, you're at the bottom of the barrel right now. You're the number 1 pick again, and you don't feel great about anything on defense. And that's it's troubling. And how did it happen so quick? Now here we are. We have a quarterback, and we kind of feel like that's it.
Well, you feel great and you feel bad at the same time. Like, that's, like, it's hard to. It feels like the team is moving in the wrong direction, but Drake is moving in the right direction. And the positive is that it hasn't seeped into him yet, right? So if you can avoid that, then I guess, like, I think the defense, the one thing that we have hope for is, and he keeps teasing it, that Christian Barmore is going to come back, whether it's this year or next year. Jawan Bentley is going to come back next year for him. And you get those two guys back in the middle. You get Kyle Duggar, who didn't play for the second consecutive game, back at safety, and you hope that some of those guys coming back at this defense at least a little bit better.
Well, Mike, you said how did this collapse of the defense happen so quickly? Maybe it wasn't really that quickly. Maybe we got a lot of false hope last year because, as Paula said, they played a lot of backup quarterbacks and kept the score low.
Yeah.
And then this year, you add that, they're very thin, in the talent department when it came to defense, that when you had whatever talent you did have got hurt, this is what happens.
Yeah. I don't. You guys will make fun of me for this, and that's okay. I'm willing to take it. But between Peppers and Judon, I feel like this defense kind of had their heart ripped out this preseason. The guys that were emotional leaders, the guys that you look to bring everybody together to set the tone. And I just kind of feel like you're left with a bunch of quiet second-level guys who no one ever really has had to step up and be the vocal commanding presence. And you had that with Judon a little bit. You had it certainly with Peppers. I don't want to overstate what they meant to the team overall, but those guys were the emotional leaders. I think about the Philadelphia joint practices and, Jabril Peppers being mic'd up and the energy he's bringing and chirping at guys. And, I like Kyle Duggar as a player. That's not him. He's a quiet guy. He's going to go out there and do what he does and,
that's a good point,
come off the field. That to me.
And he's not playing either.
And he's not playing either anyway.
They've lacked that, that kind of passion.
Energy,
I think you told
me Mapu's a quiet kind of guy.
Yeah, look, Bentley is one of those rah-rah type of guys, too, to the point where he has to address the team even now, and he's not even playing because they're missing, that exact sort of thing. Like, he's, breaking down huddles and stuff like that pregame because they have nobody else to do it. And
One arm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great point. I think David Andrews is similar on the offensive side of the ball, too. Maybe not as boisterous and, loud, but he's that kind of circle the wagon type of leader that they were counting on that isn't there.
Yeah, Freddie, I liked your question about what is, harder to fix right now. What do you have more confidence in moving forward? Now, you guys you have more confidence in the offense just because of Maye, and that makes it easier because I think that both sides, you can make an argument right now, both sides of the ball have one guy you feel good about. Probably Maye and Gonzalez.
Okay, so
right?
Yeah.
But you're saying the quarterback makes it easier to get the pieces around him because he's going to lift those guys.
Well,
I'm not arguing. I'm just kind of listening to
I was listening to one of your shows yesterday, and I think it was the Beetle and the Zoe. And, Beetle was like, they need 5 new offensive linemen. They really don't. If you get
4.
If you get a tackle, if you get a good tackle and maybe one more good interior, I'm not saying great, good interior lineman, assuming Andrews comes back and the line will be fine.
But if Andrews comes back, it's a year. They need probably 4 starting caliber offensive linemen. If you feel good about Onwenu.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably questions about that based on this season.
But, when you say that, I say they need one really good tackle and the rest, and then 3 more guys that can just play.
Kansas City has 3 elite interior guys and 2 jag tackles.
Right. You don't need 5 guys that are Pro Bowlers.
No.
In the NFL, you really don't.
But you're calling the tackle that they don't have now elite.
I'm talking better than average.
Yeah. Well, that's a big jump from what they have.
But don't you think if they focus on that, they can find one?
I think a lot of teams focus on that in the draft, and I think it's probably a 50-50 proposition.
I think they could have gotten him this year if they really wanted to, if they had, for example, used the second-round pick on that instead of Polk. I don't know.
Well, they could have taken Alt in the first round.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't have Maye.
Right, but that's why I didn't say first round.
But the other guys are by no means believe me, I'm getting chirped at every day on Twitter. This guy's not that good.
I just don't think it's
Roger Rosengarten. How do you like him now?
Right. But I just don't think it's this Herculean task to rebuild the offensive line.
I would connect
I kind of think it is.
Really?
I would connect.
I thought you said you can find offensive linemen. That this is the history of Paul.
But you're looking for an elite offensive lineman, an above-average tackle.
I
don't think above-average tackles.
In my mouth.
You said above-average tackle.
Yes.
I don't think they grow on trees.
But you don't think they can find one above-average tackle between now and next year?
I hope they can.
Yeah.
I think that's priority number 1.
Yeah, I think they can.
I don't think that's a foregone conclusion.
I don't think it's a monumental task. I don't think it is.
I also don't think just an above-average left tackle is going to make the rest of those guys better.
No, and I said you find a couple good interior guys, good,
Yeah, like to me, if Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson can be starting caliber players, and then you get an above average left tackle, now you have an offensive line.
Yeah.
Because now you're right. You don't need 5 all pros. You just need serviceable.
Yeah.
They don't have serviceable right now. Contrary to other people's beliefs.
And I also
they don't have serviceable linemen right now.
And I think next year, if Drake takes the second-year jump that we hope he does, he'll make the line better too.
He's already made the line better.
He's cut down on. I don't know. I think the way they're recording pressures, like I think this week, I don't know what did you have, just out of curiosity, for pressure numbers? Because I felt like he was under attack every snap.
38% for the game, but
that seems really low to me.
The first half was, 38% is high. Like that's anything.
I know. I just felt like he ran for his life all day.
Anything over 30 is panic mode.
But you asked who I feel good about on off. I feel good about Stevenson. I feel good about Hunter Henry. I'm feeling better about Booty, I should say. So these guys, I think they're going to be part of the solution next year.
So maybe next year, but I'm talking about like when you're good.
Yeah.
Who do you feel good about? Like Stevenson and Henry probably won't be part of your next playoff team.
Okay.
You brought up Robinson and Wallace, and that to me is
they're important guys. Jalen Polk,
those are mid-round
guys
that this new regime took last year. That if both those guys are misses, then I'm with.
I don't know what to think about Polk.
But I get
he gets on the field and has two penalties.
I really liked your larger point, like just kind of like breaking it down. It's a typical PU, argument. I like it. Like, what's easier to fix right now? Well, there's no argument that you have a quarterback that has the skills to play at a high level. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be a high-level quarterback because we all know that it takes a lot more.
Right.
And we're going to have to see these mistakes that we see now,
and
Evan called
repeater?
Evan called it the highest turnover-worthy rate in the right now. Does that diminish as the season goes on? Because we have 8 more games, 9 more games. How many games do we have?
8 games.
8 games, Renee.
Yep.
Right back in the race. 8 games left. Do those turnover-worthy plays decrease, or do they stay the same?
Right.
I think
there's a chance you might see them rise because I think I see a guy
he wants to win and he'll try to do more.
He's putting a lot on his shoulders.
Yeah. I think there's look, the glass half full of the turnovers is that his numbers right now are essentially the same as Josh Allen's his rookie season. And what made Josh Allen an MVP caliber quarterback is he took a 5% turnover worthy play rate and dropped it to 3.5%. So this year right now he's at 3.7%. Turnover worthy play rate. So he reeled it in a little bit. Like he figured it out, and he figured out how to not be a complete turnover machine and was able to reel it in, and now he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
And to me, the only way to get better is to keep playing, is to keep seeing things, to keep experiencing
Working
things.
for Josh Allen.
It's not pull him back and have him watch. It's experience.
I agree. Let me ask you, because I love the Josh Allen stuff and the Justin Herbert stuff with regard to May. Do you I personally, I think you guys know what I think of Josh Allen. He's like, I think he is. Might be. That's accurate. Yeah. Usually you exaggerate, but that's accurate. I don't feel like Josh Allen would be Josh Allen without his ability to be physical and run.
Yeah.
Okay. I think if you just asked him to do, 95% of it from the pocket, I think he'd be good, but I don't think he'd be Josh Allen.
No.
I think he'd be just another guy.
And that threat to run affects the defenses.
So I'm wondering, do you think that Drake Maye is showing signs of kind of that? Like, what's making him elite from a traits standpoint is his ability to make plays with his legs. Like, an underrated play that no one talks about, that play that he scrambled around and looked like he was going to get sacked and he underhand flipped it to Stevenson.
Yep.
Like, that's Mahomes.
Right.
Like, those are the kind – you can't teach that. That's just an innate athletic ability that he has. I just looked at Mike. I go, I was like Eddie Edelman. He's got it.
Right.
Like, he's got it.
Right.
Like, there's like
Instincts.
these things that you can't teach.
Right. Yeah.
But if I don't think that Drake Maye could survive playing the way he did Sunday, the way that Josh Allen has been able to survive, because Josh Allen is significantly bigger.
Yeah.
And I would worry that Maye wouldn't be able to hold up taking the amount of hits. Clearly, he hasn't learned anything about sliding yet. I thought Mark Schlereth was going to start crying, and he was like, I thought he was going to slide 14 times on that run. Like, he doesn't have any interest in avoiding contact.
Right.
Josh Allen doesn't either, but Josh Allen is much
a good 20
broader,
pounds, probably,
thicker.
right?
bigger.
I mean, he's 10 pounds heavier
10
than
pounds?
Drake.
Yeah.
But do you
Seems
look
bigger.
at those two guys and think that they're the same size?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
I mean, Drake's 6'4" and a half,
I think-
225
Yeah.
pounds.
By the way, I don't
Yeah.
trust any of those numbers that they have in the media guides.
I just
I'm
don't-
not looking at the media
I
guys.
think
I'm looking at
Josh.
their
I think
combine.
Drake May looks like a kid
Combine,
by comparison
that was
to
years
Josh
ago
Allen.
for Josh Allen.
Yeah, and now he's 240 pounds according to their media guide. So
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but okay.
yeah, I mean, like
So that's 15 pounds.
Jake is 225 pounds. Josh Allen's is 237. So we can
Alright,
split
well.
the difference.
Well, I
But
mean,
that's
to me,
that's 8
one looks
years
like a
into
little
his
brother,
career.
and the other one looks like a
Because
grown
he's
man.
22 years old.
Exactly.
So-
that's my point. So is he going to be able to survive doing that? That's my worry.
Well,
That's
if he's
all.
just like Josh Allen, like his body will mature and he's gonna get thicker.
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen didn't come into the league, is my point, at the 235, 240 that he is now.
We'll see. I don't know. Like, I don't look at Drake May and see like, oh wow, wait till he fills out. I don't look at him that way.
I'd have to look at pictures of Josh Allen when he came in. I don't remember.
Josh Allen's bigger. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I just think that you're looking at a 22-year-old kid who's in his first year in an NFL strength and conditioning program. Let's give it a few years and
Oh,
see
yeah.
if he bulks up. That's all I'm saying.
This
curls,
is like,
do the
but
curls,
these
right?
are like way down. Please, like, I know I should never do this, but like, I'm just looking down the road. I'm seeing what I see now, and I'm as excited as everybody else. What happens if? Okay, so he starts running around. Let's just break down the 4 games. He went and took himself in for an MRI on his knee after one of the games.
Yep.
He
Got a
was taken
concussion.
out of a game with a concussion after another one of the games.
Yep.
So those are the kinds of things I'm looking at long term. 95 yards rushing is great.
And those things build up.
But those things,
Yep.
they wear on you.
Yeah.
I don't think Justin Herbert runs around like that anymore.
Yeah.
With a high ankle sprain.
And even
some of the
Mahomes,
hits.
he's selective.
Mahomes is very selective with
And
it, but he always has been kind of selective.
I would just say
Josh Allen is the psycho. He
Yeah.
just continues to run over
That
linebackers like a maniac.
Right.
just because I have to, pro Drake over here. I would say the one thing that I would counter with that is I felt like watching it on film that his scrambles were because there's nobody open down the field for him to throw to. So it's like if you can get some receivers in here that can actually get open,
Right.
and maybe
Yeah.
design some plays to get some guys open. Like, does 8 scrambles happen every single week
That's gotta
moving
be-
forward?
that's gotta be your hope.
And that's the
Yeah.
one
Right.
thing that I do hear, the detractors who wanted him to wait a little longer about developing those bad habits. You hope that he doesn't get into the habit of giving up plays when he gets better receivers, and he trusts in their routes and he trusts his line a little better. That's what people were talking about developing bad habits with a bad team around him. You hope that doesn't happen.
The way I see it is like he looks around, nobody's open. He's like, "F it, I'll do it myself."
Right.
Because
Well-
what
well,
else am I
also-
gonna do?
Also,
Yeah.
because the defenses aren't, in Drake May mode yet. He sees all this green grass in front of him, and so
Yeah.
why not?
I
Yeah.
do think Tennessee made an adjustment to that.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle. Now it didn't eliminate it.
Yeah.
I think he had a scramble in overtime
Yep.
Yeah.
for a first
Nice
down.
block by Ramondre.
But I thought that they started to send some pressure in some of the gaps that he was escaping from,
Yep.
and that kind of limited his scrambles, like in the second half. I
Yep.
would say.
All right. So Drake May is obviously something we're excited about, but we do have to talk about the rest of the team.
What else are you excited about?
Yeah. No, I'm not
I'll
necessarily.
wait.
What do you? But
Literally
like,
nothing.
Marcus
what
Jones.
stood out to you in the game, good or bad, besides Drake May?
I truly feel they lost this game because of coaching.
Ooh.
I really feel like that's why they lost. Like it just felt to me like they made 3 critical coaching mistakes in this game. Starting Layden Robinson, I can't explain that one.
So they obviously they asked about that to
Yeah.
Jerod afterwards, and to me, I got the impression from his answer that the front of Tennessee made them decide that they had to switch it up because of the personnel of Tennessee,
Yeah, but
not
Tennessee,
because of performance on the Patriots side.
but Tennessee's personnel coming into the game was the same thing.
I don't understand what your point is.
Do we have the transcript from Jerod
No,
after
and
the game?
so
I
after
mean, why they made the change from Robinson back and moved Owenu inside?
why they changed
match
the
up
lines
against
from
Jeffrey
the
Simmons.
week before?
Oh, from the week before.
Yeah.
So you thought it was a
When listening to Mayo, his response made me think that they did it because of the personnel
so you
the
think that
Titans.
they just made a mistake?
They made a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Or
think-
maybe it'd have been worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My read on it was that they were trying to get the run game going a little bit, and they feel better about Layden Robinson and Mike Onwenu as your right side, and they ran right like the entire game than they did Onwenu and Trey Jacobs on the right side in the run game. But what they apparently slept on was that Jeffrey Simmons was just going to line up over Layden Robinson and take him out back. And that's exactly what happened for the entire first 4 drives of this game. They had a pressure rate of 45% with Layden Robinson on the field. When they went back to the line that they played last week, it was 29%. So they clearly made a big error there. The end of the first half was just ridiculous. Like, I don't want to go on a whole rant about it right now, but that whole handling of second and third down at the end of the first half was horrible.
Tell why?
Well, you run a ball on 2nd and 1. Like, why are you running the ball there,
That's
first
the
of all?
mistake.
Well,
to me.
that's one of my pet peeves.
Like, your
Yeah.
yards and field position and the clock are the enemy there, not the sticks. Like, if you throw the ball on 2nd and 3rd down, you assume that you're going to pick up the first down by throwing the football. And they run the ball on 2nd and 3rd and 1, trying to prioritize the yard instead of prioritizing going down
I
the
think
field
that's
and
a fair
score.
criticism.
Yeah.
The 2nd and 1 run didn't make any sense to me.
And look, you can look at the 2nd and 1 run and say it was a decent front to run into, and they probably
I've
should
seen a
have
lot of those
execute the blocks, but that's not the point. The point is the situation.
Like, if they got 8 yards on that play, I wouldn't be happy.
Y-
I think it was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and he went back-to-back throws to Kendrick Bourne for 24 yards.
14 and 8,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or
14
9,
and
14
9,
and 9.
to get that drive started, and they were moving in the right direction. And then they go into they put him in the garage again, and they run the ball 2 times in a row. Now they're punting back to Tennessee, who luckily messed it up just as bad as the Patriots.
I mean, they got a holding call. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically was the whole game. Is Tennessee moved it any way they wanted, and then they got successful plays wiped off the board by holding calls. The Patriots would get the ball, start to do some good things. Demario Douglas makes a nice one-handed catch, and they'd get a holding call. Or Drake Maye would scramble for 20 yards, they'd get a holding call. It was just
Yeah.
2 bad teams
It was a
making
comedy
mistake
of
after
errors.
mistake.
It was bad football.
Yeah, and then my
So
last
what's your third one?
My last one is the wind in overtime.
Yeah,
This
I don't have an
can't
explanation
happen.
for that.
He said the wind changed. It didn't.
Even if the wind did change, you need to be on that. Like, that's your responsibility.
But okay, can I can I go at all 3 of these? 'Cause,
Yeah.
this is what I
Can,
look
can I
for,
just
right?
let me just finish
Oh,
with the
okay,
wind
I
real
thought- I
quick,
thought you
and
were.
then you have at it.
I
Take
thought
the
you were.
wind.
Okay, go ahead.
So the most frustrating part about the wind is the damn play worked. They had Kayshon Boutte on the deep post to win the game. And he threw the ball into the wind, and it got held up in the wind, and Amani Hooker picked it off. And he said after the game, I was throwing into the wind, and I needed to put more on
Right.
it, and it was on me. So if they have the wind at his back, we're talking about a walk-off 60-yard touchdown to Kayshon Boutte right now. And instead, they
Maybe.
didn't know which
I have a
one.
hard time with that one.
Yeah.
But the fact is
But
that
why- play was
why
there.
don't you always?
his point
You
is
lose the toss. You go. You take
you
the
take
win.
the wind. So the first thing,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to play a little devil's advocate on all of them. I think Evan makes some really good points, but I'm going to try to play devil's advocate. If you want to talk just short term, we want to do everything, quote unquote, in our power to win every single game, then it's hard to argue Onwenu at guard is better than Onwenu at tackle. By the way, everybody's focusing on Layden Robinson. No one's talking about another subpar performance by your $19 million lineman. He didn't play well again. But it's hard to argue that Onwenu at guard, Robinson on the bench is better. I understand their thought process. Like, this is a kid that we drafted. We feel good about in some spots. We want to see what he can do. So I kind of understand, let's go with him and see if he can really be one of my linemen moving forward. Because we're probably not in playoff.
Let the kids play.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Again, that's devil's advocate, not necessarily attacking
It's
you.
exactly how I felt pregame about it. But what bothered me about the decision was his explanation postgame, where it was like, Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons were always going to be there.
Right.
So like if your problem, he said that they moved Onwenu back inside to match him up against Jeffrey Simmons,
Right.
and it's like, but you knew that was the matchup coming into
That's
the game.
why I didn't understand. Like,
Yeah.
that's just a horrible evaluation.
Yeah.
If you didn't realize that
Right.
Jeffrey Simmons is arguably the best player on the Titans.
Yeah.
Period. So that's the first thing, and I'm trying to create the other side. The end of the half, Mike and I again were apoplectic. Like, boom, boom. Not only you get the 14 yards, the 9 yards to Bourne. Didn't you kind of look at Bourne and see like, oh wow, that's 2021 Kendrick Bourne right there. Like, he had a little shimmy to him. He was feeling it a little bit. I thought he was getting into a rhythm. Kind of what we've been talking about, Mike, in pregame shows. Like, maybe they can establish that. They need that one guy. Hunter Henry's the only guy that's consistent in the passing game. Maybe this is like Kendrick Bourne's coming out party. He's going to be a month removed now from coming back off the torn ACL. I thought he had a little something going. 2nd and 1, take a shot. Run a deep crosser. Run something, run some kind of over route.
You got the whole playbook.
See if you can get a chunk,
Right.
knowing that if it doesn't work, that's okay. It's 3rd and 1. I'll just run it and get the first down. They run on 2nd and 1 and then take their time, basically telling everybody, well, they're going to run on 3rd and 1 because otherwise they would be rushing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They have no interest in scoring now. They only have interest in getting out of the half. So the 3rd and 1, I guess the way you played it, you kind of locked yourself in. You had to run. 2nd and 1, I just don't understand. I wish I had something I could combat Evan's criticism on, but Mike and I live were going crazy
No.
in the bullpen.
At the very least, on that 2nd and 1, you throw it. He can probably just run and pick it up if nobody's open. Like, right?
I just
mean,
like Evan's explanation is like dead on perfect. Who cares about the first down? Like, why are we worried about the yard at that point? You're trying to score. You're trying to get a double score here. We're going to put the pedal to the metal, and we're going to go down the field, and then we're going to come out in the second half and get the ball again.
Right.
Not
That's
to
how you
mention that
should have been
he's-
going after it.
He's done it before. Like they've gone on 2-minute drills before the half when he throws a 40-yard bomb to Kayshon Boutte against the Texans,
Right.
and he's shown that he can lead a 2-minute drill before. And then they took the ball out of his hands, and then they end up even punting it back to Tennessee after all of that, just to
So
pick
I
up a
had
yard.
Point 1 of his coaching criticism, I try to give you the other side. Point 2,
hard.
I don't really like. I'm kind of in the middle. Point 3, there's no explanation. You guys were there. I wasn't. Mike and I really weren't aware of wind
I wanted to
at
ask you
all
about that.
until Drake May said what he
listen,
said.
it's on record before the game. I pointed out that which direction the wind, because I noticed it, which direction the wind. Said as you're looking at the bench, it's going from right to left.
Okay, so
And it never stopped.
If
You
that
could
was
see the
something,
flags.
if that was something that they were cognizant of at the kickoff,
Well, I was.
at the opening kickoff.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Jerod says the wind changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not even.
I don't think it did.
I'm
though.
not even arguing whether it did or not.
Yeah.
So the wind changed. So in other words, let's take him for his word. So it changed from the start of the game, I assume he's talking about?
Right. I guess.
You don't monitor? Like, there's another decision to be made here now,
Yeah.
Jerod. There's more information.
Yeah.
At the start of the game, whatever it was is what it was. You didn't, take 30 seconds to figure out, okay, if we lose the toss here, which side are we taking?
But what I'm saying,
which side is the wind blowing?
But what I'm saying, the start of the game was consistent with what happened at the end when Drake said
No,
he was
no.
throwing into the wind.
I get
That's
what-
how it was going at the start too.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It didn't change.
To
Okay,
me, right? Yeah.
But there is no argument to be made that if it changed, you still picked the wrong side. Whether it changed or not, you went into the wind
Right.
willingly.
Right.
I don't have a devil's advocate for that one. I don't have
I
an
know.
explanation.
One thing this is kind of a weird one for me, but talking about whether run versus pass, I think the Patriots need to do something about how the play is called in the huddle, because I notice it's a tell. If Drake May is blah 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 blah, it's a pass. If he's blah blah, it's a run.
Yes.
Really?
Well, run
Look at
plays
this guy.
are historically shorter.
Well, then they have to cover that up somehow.
Yeah.
Make them all the same length, at least seemingly, in the huddle. Because I notice, if he's blah 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 blah, then it's gonna it was a pass every time.
But are you noticing that on your TV, or can you notice that?
No, I'm watching it on the binoculars.
Yeah, because like that's the difference, right? Is like if his
Yeah, but
back
so
is to the defense.
I don't care what the viewers are watching. I care what the other
right,
coaches
but I'm
are
saying like
watching.
if it's a close up of him doing it,
Oh,
whereas
I see
if
what
he's
you're saying.
standing in the
They
huddle,
may not be able to see as much.
Yeah,
I don't know. You can kind of tell like his head's moving, how long he's
love
talking.
that.
This is going to be
That's
a
a
game. This is gonna be,
Belichick
we're going to be up
thing
in the
right
press box.
there,
like,
Fred.
That was
a good
next
pull.
level.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like I looked down at Fred doing his live blog, and he should be
Good.
like,
So do you think he goes to, like in the huddle and it's like, yeah, we're gonna run it here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's markedly short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When AVP is in his headsets, he's power eye right.
Yeah. So I hope you're
22
listening. You got to figure out a way to make it all look the same in the huddle. Okay.
Remind me to get back to that power eye right 22 lead later in the show.
we got
We're in the
another
middle
play?
of the
You
game
were
here.
down
I
another
got a little anecdote.
I want to ask you guys, because Evan mentioned a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we're getting the 2-point conversion, but what was the feeling like in the stadium on that last drive for the Patriots of regulation when they went down the field and
I
scored?
mean, we all know that the press box is not necessarily a quiet place. What was the scuttlebutt?
No, it was. I think it was a professional press box.
No, but were you guys like amongst yourselves like saying, no, I'd go for 2 here, or no?
My feeling was whatever they decided was good. I could have gone either
Fred's
way.
back.
I could have gone either way, but I'm on record for saying tie the game and extend it. That was my decision. But if they had gone for 2, I'd been fine with that.
Yeah, I go back and forth on it too. I thought the atmosphere in the stadium was like a weird combination because there
was a
were
lot of Patriots
there
fans.
were
There were a lot of
good-
Patriots
there were a
fans.
good amount of Patriots
Yeah.
fans that made the trip down there for the weekend. So there was some cheering definitely on the Ramondre Stevenson touchdown.
Yeah, and there was one slamming of the desk by somebody in the press box on one play.
That will
Oh.
remain nameless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
After the pick?
When was that?
No, after the touchdown.
After the touchdown.
An
It was a good slam.
Yeah, and excitement.
A good
Oh,
slam.
oh.
Yeah.
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 Well, it was more like,
Oh, it was.
oh, yeah.
It was
You're welcome.
Yeah.
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 So I just was curious if any of the writers, like you could somehow Sometimes you
High-fivings.
can hear people.
Attaboys.
No, like what I'd go for 2
well,
here.
I-
I could like I think
yeah,
Mike. Like I talked to Mike a little bit this
Yeah.
morning, Mike Reese, and his feeling was as they were getting close, he was thinking I'd go for 2 and try to win
Well,
it. Right
this
here.
is one of the rare press boxes where we were in the front row, like against the glass. So you don't.
We're
like,
not back with the steerage
Yeah,
like
when
normal.
you're behind, you can hear more. But I didn't hear as much because I was facing the glass.
We
So
were,
there must
I was,
not have been a
we were
lot of it
also
then.
like kind of apart from the external media too.
Yeah, they decided to keep Evan away from the rest of the media. No,
Yeah,
only kidding.
that makes sense. that checks out. But yeah, no, I was back and forth on the go for 2 thing too. I think it's a coin flip, and that's what the analytics would tell you, that it's
Sure.
basically a coin flip.
But
But
to me, that had analytics is off the board on that particular decision.
yeah,
I think.
I think that just weighing the
agree.
circumstance. So if you go into overtime, then you need another full drive, like a 75-yard touchdown drive, or you need a stop by your defense and points by your offense in overtime, or you could just get it in one play on the 2-point and win or lose that way.
Or you could miss it, So
Yeah,
like you only
no,
get
you could-
one
like I
shot,
said, you
or
could-
you have many. You
Right.
could look at it the positive way. I got one shot, or I got many shots.
His arms are heavy.
yeah, for what it's worth, the nerds said to kick. For what it's worth.
I mean,
Palms are sweaty.
I just think this is an offense that doesn't really have an identity that they believe in right now. And, if you had I want them to have the identity right now of, we got 2 wins. We're going to be picking in the top 5. Let's just screw it and be aggressive and toss caution to the wind and not say, whoa, we got to play defense. We got to put,
Well, you wonder if it was a more traditional way to score, if it wasn't this 12-second scramble,
Right. Yeah.
if it was, a normal play, if they would have felt more confident going for 2, because Drake said he was tired, and I think Mayo mentioned, guys were a little
I
winded.
just don't know, but I love the argument that the defense has
How
got
do
to
you
be
think the defense
exhausted,
felt?
too,
Well, okay,
and they're on their
fair enough.
fields. And, I mean, Evan said that
Fair enough.
the touchdown was scored. Oh, the place explodes. I mean, I know they're tired, but, we said it on our
Plus,
show.
you get time too.
We've
Like that's not
seen-
like the
Yeah.
play ends and the play clock
No, I
immediately
know.
starts
Yeah.
on a 2-point
25 seconds,
conversion.
right.
So let me ask you a question, and your guy asked it yesterday on his show, and I don't have the answer, but you guys were watching more on TV than I was. After the play, did Mayo go 1 or 2 with his fingers, or did he make a quick indication of what his decision was?
I think it was reasonably quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to them, they say that they had already determined during the drive that they were kicking it to tie.
Okay. Oh, really? Yeah.
Doesn't mean that's what happened.
Yeah.
But that's been the story that's come out and whatnot.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I want to state this is. I agree. There's no right or wrong answer to those. I personally would have gone for 2.
You would have.
I would have, and I said it to Mike before. I actually said it when I dared to say it when they were on the 20-yard line, and Matt Smith scoffed and scolded me for even thinking that they were going to get in. And I was like, I think they're going to get in. I mean, now I didn't obviously envision the way they got in.
He's so pessimistic.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think for Mike touched on one of the reasons why I think when wins and losses aren't necessarily the only thing that matters.
Right.
I think you establish something in a situation like that by going, even if you miss it. Like, I would have much rather have missed the 2-point conversion and lost than lost in overtime the way they did.
Do you think Polk falling down the week before?
Okay, so this is another good point.
Okay,
I got a lot of these.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of, well, what play would you run? I mean, they couldn't do anything on offense.
Do something, Drake.
They couldn't run it. So I've also heard, and Evan just reiterated it, and he's right, extend the game, go to overtime. We didn't want to extend the game when we were down 9 in London with 8 minutes left. We decided to put it all on a 2-point conversion.
Right.
Because the game ended on that failed 2-point conversion.
Yep.
We weren't interested in extending the game that day.
Yeah.
Right? And we've also heard from the analytics people that have smacked Mike and I around for thinking that they shouldn't have gone for 2 in London. Well, the play was there.
Right.
You had a play. Polk fell down. Run that play. And have someone else running the route that doesn't fall down.
Yeah. Right.
Right? I mean, I admit you can't run. You couldn't run Stevenson off tackle. I mean, after his first carry of the game, he got 5 yards. I don't think he got more than 1 on any carry after that. No. Like, it was ridiculous how unproductive the running game was. But you got to have some kind of a 2-point play.
Of plays.
Yeah, they said they had a 2-point play.
Yeah, that's what, I mean,
who knows what it was? But
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their job.
And the other part that and I just touched on it, the whole fatigue thing. Yeah, I have no doubt that Drake Maye was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. But
got 2.5 yards in you, Drakey.
He had like 5 guys chasing him for those 12 seconds. They had to be exhausted too.
That's the only one where I wonder, like, the read option stuff probably off the table. And that, like, where he just ran that much. Like, I don't know. Like, ideally, I'd love to. Like, that's an advantage.
Yeah,
play,
you want to get him in
but
space and
that's one play.
options.
I don't know. Like, Evan, what do you think? What were you thinking with a play call there?
Yeah, I mean, I would leak. Not at that field position, Paul. It's a shot play. I would like to think that they have some sort of like Philly RPO in their back pocket, where like he has 3 options to hand it, to run it himself, or to throw it to somebody in the flat if that's there too, and you kind of get him out, in space and give him like a couple different options on a play. But that's optimistic to think that they have that, to be honest.
Not a pick play like everybody else does.
Yeah. All right. 855-PATS-500 is the TPX hotline. That's 855-PATS-500. Podcasts at patriots.com is the email address. I had a nice get-together with Sweet Kid.
Oh, nice.
Melvin from Tennessee and Trey from Memphis.
Nice.
Saturday night.
See you with the boys.
Went to listen to some bluegrass, which wasn't very good.
Fred.
Yeah.
Thumbs down on the music.
Yeah, no, my idea of bluegrass is it's the instruments. Like if your banjo and guitar aren't front and center, then it's not bluegrass. And this was like singing. It's like
you have a lot of rules.
Yes, I do.
You do.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Don't you think?
It's bluegrass rules. I haven't heard
I have
those
bluegrass
before.
rules.
How are the 2-7 Browns in the hunt?
Nobody knows what you're talking about, Evan.
They're not in the hunt.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our callers and see what
2-7.
they have to say. They've been, as No Sock says, patiently holding on.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Patty's in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, afternoon, everyone.
Hey.
So I wanted to touch on a couple things. Paul, I think you're right. I think over like the last 16 years or so, or somewhere thereabouts, offensive linemen, specifically tackles taken high, it's hit or miss. It's like 50-50, and I feel like I mean, they didn't always 100% hit before that, but I felt like the percentage was a lot better. And my question is kind of for Evan, because, Evan, I know you break down the film. And a couple weeks ago on Catch 22, I said, what do we have to do to stop the run? What the hell do we have to do to get our running game going? Because, I mean, it was decent in the first 2 games. And I don't think these guys just forgot how to run block. Maybe it's, they caught some people off guard because they didn't have film the first 2 weeks. But how do we do it? How do we, sort of balance this out so Drake Maye is not our entire offense, and because it's not sustainable. That's what I got. I'll take it off air. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. I wrote about it in After Further Review. I feel like that's probably the second, biggest thing people are interested in. First, obviously, just being how Drake played. But I think the biggest thing when I see the running game right now is they're running a lot of outside zones still, and that just doesn't seem to be working on any front. They just can't reach those blocks on the line of scrimmage to get the outside zone game going. And then they had some weird gap runs in this game. Like they had one early where they put City So at fullback, and then they ran away from him instead of having Stevenson follow him, through the hole. They ran away from the lead play, and I thought that was peculiar because it just, why put him in there then if you're just going to run away from it? So they have some weird things going on schematically, I would say, just decisions, how they want to run the ball, how they want to play action off the run game. Like right now, none of it is really sequencing or marrying together. And that's been a big problem as well. We'll see this week that Bears' run defense is terrible. So hopefully that's something that they can get going this week.
You just think that it would improve, though, right? This is one thing that I kind of believe of, just the dance of run blocking and how it's all got to be in concert and we all have to take the step together and it'll get better as we work on it. And that's just what's jarring to me. It's like at some point it has to start to look better. You've been practicing it. You've been telling us this. It hasn't.
I was watching last night, Tristan Wirth. He had one sequence where he gets his inside block and then goes out and then kicks out the safety or whoever it was. Like he had 2 key blocks on one play. It's just like, man, why can't we get that?
Yeah, I would just say sometimes you think back and you remember the production and you don't really remember how we were talking about it. Patty brought up, the Drake Maye running around is unsustainable. The 3 of us talked about how asking Ramondre Stevenson to break the amount of tackles that he was breaking in the first 2 games was unsustainable.
Yeah.
And we've seen it.
Yeah.
Like you consistently get hit in the backfield, you're not going to consistently get yards.
Right. It's going to catch up to you.
It catches up to you. And I don't think that they blocked that much worse than they were. I just think Stevenson was exceptional. And I think Gibson was exceptional at it too. I should put him in there. He's really gone silent.
Well, yeah, he's kind of disappeared.
And I made the comment, have you noticed, Ev? Mike and I were talking about this in the post game.
Played 8 snaps.
But since the game that he had to replace, those 2 games that he had to replace Stevenson, and he was the man.
Yeah.
And he did nothing. He's done. He's not had that role where he can fill in and be productive.
He's been on the injury report a little bit, so I wonder if he's dealing with something that's limiting him. But Next Gen tracks expected rushing yards per carry, just based off of the situation and all that kind of stuff. The Patriots are dead last in the league at 3.3 yards per carry right now that they're expected to get. Yeah. So this is to me, it's about blocking and scheme. It's not Ramondre. He didn't get worse at running the ball. They're just not blocking very well for him right now.
Carlos is in the Bay Area. What's up, Carlos?
Hey, guys. First time, long time.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask. I wanted to hear what your guys' opinion was on Jerod Mayo's comments about the trade deadline and pretty much saying that it's not like the MLB and they're not going to teams aren't going to trade a starting quarterback or a starting left tackle. Those are the examples he used. So I was wondering what you guys thought about that, if you agree, if you think that that's kind of him setting the foundation that they won't make big moves, or I just wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts.
No, I do agree with him. It isn't. It's not like the NBA or the MLB. Guys don't move typically in the NFL like they do on those other trade deadlines.
Yes and no. I think if you want to use his, and I didn't hear Jerod's comment, but if you want to use that specific example, starting quarterbacks aren't moving or whatever, I'd say that, that's largely true. You're not going to get the star of the stars, but there's been a fair amount of activity already.
There has, but
the left tackle moved.
Yeah, Cam Robinson.
Early. Yeah.
Well, to me, that's trade deadline.
Yeah.
I think there was a 5th receiver added today. Jonathan Mingo
Yeah.
moved. A pretty good pass rusher in Zadarius Smith moved.
Yep.
Brandon Browning moved.
Baron Browning
Baron
moved
Browning.
yesterday. Like to me, they're all trade deadline deals.
Yeah.
The team that generally was making the moves felt like they were probably out of it and they're selling
Yeah.
off pieces. And I'm not telling you, oh, the Patriots are losing a huge opportunity here. I'm just saying, I think Jerod's overall tenor undersold what I think the trading deadline in the NFL is starting to become. I think teams are using it more and more than they did. I feel like there's more player acquisition in the. Do you remember? You probably don't, but when Andy was still here, we had this whole thing about quarterbacks. Like, well, you're screwed if you don't have a quarterback. You have to draft him. And I was like, I don't know if that's true anymore. Like, if Peyton Manning can change teams, Drew Brees is changing teams. Like, there's a way that players become available now that I don't think existed, say, in the first part of the Patriots dynasty. In 2001, it was like free agency and draft. And you could make moves like that. Now I think you're starting to see quarterbacks changing teams in the offseason, not in the trade deadline, but a lot of starting caliber quarterbacks are starting to change teams. A lot of frontline receivers are getting traded in the offseason, and then I would say secondary receivers like Hopkins and Cooper and Mingo now, Deontay Johnson are starting to get traded at the deadline. I think you can get players to fill needs.
Yeah, it still feels like the cliche of teams that feel like they're a piece away. Need that one. Those are usually the teams that add. But I'd just like to see something like, we talked about wouldn't be opposed to adding here, getting somebody that maybe can build for the future. Yeah. I would totally.
But a guy
be
like
for
Mingo to me would be. I'm not saying him specifically. I'm saying a guy like that. A second-year guy's kind of second-round pick, been disappointing, hasn't gotten anything going. He's available because obviously he moved.
Yeah.
Might you want to bring a guy like that in to see if you can develop him?
Yeah, and that's why Tyquan's name gets thrown around as that similar kind of situation. Disappointing guy, has some traits. Will he work somewhere else?
Yeah, even last year at the deadline, the Commanders sold both their pass rushers. Montez Sweat goes to the Bears, who
good players.
aren't in a win-now mode type of situation at that point in time for Chicago. And then the year before, Christian McCaffrey got traded at the trade deadline. So it's not quarterbacks and left tackles per se.
Right.
So I can see where he's coming from with that, but. The Bears, I thought, did a great job with Montez Sweat. Then they signed him to a big contract.
And I was skeptical of that trade because I was like, what are they doing? He's going to leave as a free agent. He's not going to re-sign with Chicago. And little did I know, it was already kind of a done deal.
To me is impressive, and that's what I think. Let's face it, they
aggressive.
need some moves to hit. They need to be aggressive. The draft class ain't looking great right now. The free agency class ain't looking great right now. Drake Maye looks pretty great, but I'd like to see some creativity.
I would love for them to get a young
long-term
wide receiver from somewhere that they can play for 8 games and say, hey, maybe we got, Darius Slayton with the Giants. Someone from another team that's in the same situation as
somebody
you.
that played with Drake, than that UNC guy.
Like Jalen Hyatt with the Giants, who's like he's completely fallen off the map.
Tyquan Thornton 2.0.
Right, but maybe you bring him, and don't fixate on the name.
I like Darius Slayton.
But do you know what I'm saying? You're fixating on the name when I'm talking more about the idea.
Yeah, no, I wrote it in the mailbag today that I would like to see them do exactly what the Bears did. I was watching the Bears on the plane ride to Nashville, and number 98 keeps popping off the tape, and it's like, who is it? It's Montez Sweat. How did they get Montez Sweat? Last year at the trade deadline, they traded a second-round pick for Montez Sweat. Look, you can't just manufacture that trade. It's got to be there to make that happen, but I'd much rather do that than some of the sell-off parts deals that have been floated.
But if you got a guy, some receiver, and all of a sudden he came in the last 8 games, you plugged him in, and all of a sudden, hey, it looks like Drake Maye and Darius Slayton have a little chemistry. The guy caught 20 passes, 25 passes over the last 8 games. Maybe now we just need to find the big dog receiver, but with Douglas and Booty and Darius Slayton,
maybe we have the Robin.
Maybe we have the makings of depth in the receiver core. We just need to get the big dog. Right now, I think they need the big dog. I think they need the number 2, and they need some depth to go with what they have because I'm not sold on any of what they have.
Todd's in North Carolina. What's up, Todd?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, Todd.
So I watched a little bit of the pregame on Sunday, and they're talking about the evolution of the Detroit Lions and how they actually started by building the two lines, their O-line and their D-line, and then added pieces to that. Do you think that the Wolf would take that approach, or do you think that we need to, jump the shark and try to get more tools for, Drake to hit? Where would you do? What would be your ultimate draft pick to address the current issues? And I'll take the answer off air.
I think you go for the best players available.
That's what I would do.
You prepare yourself for every opportunity that might come up, and then you go for it.
I'm building through the trenches. I think statistically you see that all the best teams in the league are great on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball for the most part. Detroit, Kansas City. I mean, you can just go right down the list. The teams at the top of the standings, you go and you take like ESPN's like win rate metric on the line of scrimmage, and you take the teams at the top of the standings. They're all really highly ranked in pass rush win rate, pass block win rate, run stopping percentage, like all of the things that involve the offensive and defensive lines.
All right,
I'm with you. I would take the best. I mean, if the best players are defensive or offensive linemen, take them.
Yep. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More calls and emails here on Patriots Unfiltered. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Good morning, everyone. Kind of like what I said last night, leaving the field disappointed, going back and watching the film and just seeing, plays that were left out there on the field. And I always say it's not just one play. Everyone's going to either be stuck on, the interception at the end of the game or to go for it on two here, to go for it or not to go for it on two. Those are definitely those hindsight things that I oftentimes think about, but at the same time that we prepare for throughout the weekend during the flow of the game. Obviously, I'm very proud of the way the locker room has stuck together. It was a battle. Anytime you go into overtime on the road like that, it takes a lot. And I would say it takes a lot, especially when you lose the game. And proud of the way the guys, showed some toughness. Unfortunately, we're unable to walk away with the win.
Start with questions. We'll start with Mike Giardi, followed by Chris Ryan.
Morning, Jerod.
Morning, Mike.
One lineup question and one strategy question. I guess I start with the lineup one. Why did you decide to, or what went into deciding to switch the offensive line once again to start the game this week?
I thought that was the best thing to do for the team. Look, they have a good front. 98 definitely is a problem. I thought that was just the best thing to do for offense.
And then wondering why you chose the direction you did in overtime. Drake mentioned after the game that, throw kind of died a little bit in the wind there. So clearly you guys decided to kick into the wind.
Yeah, so the wind, at the time, I would say the wind had changed. So the wind had changed from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. So that's what happened.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris Ryan, followed by Tom Curran.
Jerod, hope all is well with you. On Drake's performance, when you evaluate, where things are at for him and see kind of some of the promise, but also, some of the growing issues that occur with a rookie quarterback, like how do you evaluate that, and when in making corrections, make sure that he's in a good place moving forward?
I feel like Drake has been coached hard his entire life, and it started in the household, with his brothers and parents, and even in Carolina, has been coached hard, and we coach him hard here, just like we coach everyone else. And saying that, I think you hit it on the head. There will be growing pains. That's part of being a rookie, regardless of position.
And just where do you think he's at this point? Is this kind of what you envisioned in putting the plan in place? So there would be, days like these where you see positives and negatives?
I mean, I think that's for all rookies, that there are going to be ups and downs. And, as we said earlier in the season, you just look for progress for guys to get better every single week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Tom Curran, followed by Sophie Weller.
Hey, Jerod.
Hey, Tom.
Just wanted to go a little deeper on that 2-point decision. Obviously, these calls are not 100% one way or the other. 51-49 a lot on the decision. But what you mentioned hindsight. In hindsight, why do you look at it and say, well, maybe we should have done the other?
Well, because we lost the game. I mean, it's that simple, because we lost the game. You go back and, earlier in the season, we went for 2. We didn't get it. You get criticized, and then you kick the field goal here, and you get criticized. So I'm always going to do what I think is best for the team. And I think, we can talk about analytics and all those things, which we do use those things. But at the same time, there's also a flow to the game. And as a head coach, ultimately, the decision and the consequence lays on you.
Did you feel as if there was a fatigue factor, your team having been on the field for a while? Because I was thinking the fatigue factor would have been more on Tennessee at that point. They had to chase for 12 seconds on the touchdown play. And did that weigh into it at all?
Yeah, there were multiple factors that went into it. And again, I just did what I thought was best for the team.
Sophie Weller, followed by Dakota Randall.
Hi, Jerod. I was just curious. I saw after Pop Douglas made that catch on the sidelines, it looked like KJ Osborne was so hyped up for him. What's it like to have a player like who, was a healthy scratch but was still just as involved in the game? Just what do you see from KJ on the sidelines in those moments?
Yeah, I grabbed him after the game and told him how much I appreciated his energy. And a guy like that, it's all about the team. It's not about him as an individual, and we need more people like him.
What went into the decision as well to have him be a healthy scratch yesterday?
Yeah, look, I'm always gonna, and I would say, myself along with the coaching staff, will always do and put the players out there that we think are going to help us win that game.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sophie.
Dakota Randall, followed by Yofi Chen.
Hi, Jerod. On the offensive line, I know Nwanu's moved back and forth a bit, but if his best spot is at right guard, would there be any consideration to moving Layden Robinson over to the left?
I'm sure that's part of the conversations that we'll have today and tomorrow. And again, whatever that combination looks like, I'm not sure right now, but we'll always do what's best for the team.
Yofi Chen.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Just wonder from your standpoint, if you see the same way like I see it, because I feel like your screen plays have not been very effective, and what might have been the problem there?
Yeah, I would say throughout the season, our screens have definitely not given us the yardage that we all hope it will give us. This is something that we have to continue to work on. I would say, it's all about timing. Screens are all about timing. Like when a screen is called, making it look like something else. It's a lot of factors that go into executing a screen. It's a hard play to execute, and we just have to continue to practice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Back to Tom Curran and Dakota Randall.
Hey, Jerod, a quick question on Maye. Obviously, with all the different things that you guys had that you want to install and instill this year, developing and finding a quarterback was going to be very, very high on the list. Can you look at Drake right now? And you had a question earlier about where is he relative to where you thought. But can you look at him right now and say, really feel like a kind of a special player here in terms of not just his on-field performance, but his toughness and resilience and the way that he carries himself too. I mean, after the loss yesterday, I thought he was very authentic in everything that he said and seemed to feel about losing despite playing well.
Yeah, his let's start with just his personality. I think I've said this before, of just his even keel approach to everything. And in saying that, I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for a lot of our young guys. And I would say just as a group, those guys have to just continue to, go through the ups and downs together. And hopefully it builds resilience amongst the team. But in regards to Drake, I'm excited to see his continued growth.
There's two final questions, Dakota Randall and Mike Giardi.
Jerod, about a month ago, I think you said you felt better about the chances of Christian Barmore playing this season. Just wondering, has he cleared any of those extra hurdles you were talking about back then? And do you think there's any chance he could start practicing relatively soon?
We're getting close.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And last question, Mike Giardi.
Sure, I know there's a million things that go into it, but it's been 3 straight weeks now where the run game with the running backs has not been able to get moving. What commonalities are you seeing in the inability to run the football?
Starts up front. Appreciate it, guys.
And now, great moments in history.
All right, so we're going to go negative concerns. This is, basically my wheelhouse. Okay, so I would worry that how they played offensively is how they want to play.
Right. Yeah. But you're worried about it.
Yeah. How they played offensively in the game is not an aberration. That's how they want to play.
So, to Helen, that means
they want to be conservative.
Means you shouldn't be worried about it.
No, that's something that I don't think a lot of people are worried about. But
I'm talking about you. But you are worried about it.
So the question was, I think he just put me in.
I felt like we were doing picks all of a sudden.
He put me in the grinder. The question was, what is something that you're worried about that other people aren't?
No,
but they should be.
No, that you shouldn't be.
No, he asked for both. Helen asked for both.
No, I know. But it wasn't, what are you worried about that other people? It's like, what are you worried about that you shouldn't be worried about?
Okay, well, this is something that other people aren't worried about that I am.
Why are you bringing other people? I want to know your opinion.
I just told you.
Okay.
How they play offense is something that I would be worried about that fans aren't. They think that Sunday was great. Right? That was the second part of Helen's question.
I don't know if that's the spirit of the question.
That's another great moment from Patriots
Unfiltered. All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PATS-500 is the TPX hotline. Podcast at patriots.com is the email address. Jacob in Rochester writes in, I honestly wish people would shut up, he says in all caps, 3 exclamation points, about Drake Maye running so much. Everyone is constantly freaking out that he's going to get hurt. Yes, he's had a concussion, but he's literally the entire offense right now.
Yes, he got hurt.
He can't throw and catch the ball, although
Twice.
He was responsible for 300 yards out of 315 the offense had in the game. How often have quarterbacks who also run like Rodgers, Murray, Allen, Hurts, Purdy, Daniel Jones, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Fields, Herbert, etc., been hurt and missed significant time? If you try to change the way he plays, he won't have the magic he currently has. What the team needs is things around him, so he doesn't need to carry the team. I'm sure his back is sore this week from carrying the team.
I mean, that last point is exactly what I said. I said the hope is that you cut down on some of those scrambles because there's open receivers for him to throw the ball to. I don't have as much problem with him running either. Like, I'm kind of with the emailer. Like, I don't mind it, but I like that kind of quarterback. Like Lamar, Josh Allen, like those are the guys I enjoy watching. If you're used to watching a different kind of quarterback, then that's where we get into this argument.
I would just argue not necessarily against the injury. The injury is part of it. I brought up the fact that he's been banged up already as a result of the constant running, but it's not this fear of him getting hurt. I don't watch games, through my fingers. Oh, no, I know.
Drake.
I'm not worried about him getting hurt all the time. It's not productive. They don't move the ball and they don't score. Those are the things that I'm looking for. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have two of the most productive offenses of the last 5-6 years in football, all of football. So they run and they put points on the board. The Patriots run and they had a score with no time left to get to 17. Like, now part of that is because he has no help. I get it. But I would like to see some more conventional offense. I would like to see 4th and 5 over the middle to, or if it might have been 4th and 2, over the middle to Hunter Henry. Conventional offense looked awesome down to the 5-yard line. There was a play earlier in that drive to Hunter Henry. The over route that Demario Douglas caught with one hand on the sideline. Those are the plays that get me jacked up. Those are sustainable. I can do that every week. Once I get the receivers that I want and the pass protection that I want, Drake Maye can make those plays. That I can do every week. You can't win unless you're unbelievably gifted like those two guys, just running around aimlessly, scrambling every week for 95 yards.
He's got to learn
That's
the offense.
my worry.
He's got to identify things and understand when he's going to have those opportunities. And I mean, I'm with you guys. I love having the feeling of you hate it on the defensive side of the ball. It's 3rd and 8. Everybody's covered. And that's when he slips out,
That's what
slides,
I love.
Keep the chains moving, get up, fight another
That's
day.
when I said to Evan in the Jets game, I don't even know what to do with myself. I've never had one of these.
Touchdown. Yep. Those are the exact plays, but there are a lot of the plays that Paul's, Patriot plays that he's talking about. I mean, he made a great throw to Pop on a little 3/4 release on an out to the sideline. That was like Brady to Amendola-esque, right? Like just like right on the money, read it out of empty, like perfectly. Like he makes those types of throws. A couple to Henry against blitzes that he got the ball out right at the top of the drop and knew exactly where to go with it. So I'm with Paul. Like those are the things that you should be more excited about than him running around.
Like-
but it doesn't hurt that he
Like
runs
throwing
around.
for 200 yards, that's not great. Like they have one of the least productive passing games in football, if not still 32. It was 32 recently. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah.
Like, you can't score if you can't throw it with production. Now, I understand they lack production because the offensive line doesn't give them any protection because the receivers aren't getting any separation. I understand all of the reasons, but I'm not going to get overly excited because he rushes for 95 yards because that's not really going to lead to a lot of points, and it hasn't.
Let's go to Kai in Hawaii. What's up, Kai?
Hey, guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So I just wanted to talk about the decision to go for 2 at the end of regulation. In the Patriots game, I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, I think Jerod's totally right that everyone's going to second guess just because of the way the game turned out. But in the game last night, on the other hand, and this is where I think like you really have to throw analytics out the window, in the Bucs-Chiefs game, the decision not to go for 2 by the Bucs at the end of, or towards the end of regulation, I think there was like 30 seconds left. I thought that was insane. Like, with the way that the Chiefs have been playing this year, with the way that they always find a way to pull these games out, to not take the opportunity to just end the game then,
It wouldn't have ended.
totally
Right, they still get the ball back.
There's a big difference between that one and the Patriots. They wouldn't have ended the game by getting a 2-point conversion. There was time for Kansas City to go down and
there
score.
were still 27 seconds. I think the Chiefs still had all their timeouts.
They did.
Like, I see that.
They had all 3 timeouts.
Mahomes time.
The
Yeah,
Chiefs
yeah,
very famously scored in 12 seconds
Right.
a couple of years
13,
ago.
but I get it.
But at the same time, don't you think going for 2 there would have given them a better shot to win
Nope.
than potentially get? You don't?
I don't. I think that they would have increased the chances of Kansas City kicking a field goal to win the game. Because there would have been urgency and they would have gone for it on 4th down. It's funny, we just had a good talk about this during the break.
Yeah.
I think where the Bucs, Kai, really made a mistake, and Troy Aikman was all over it live. Why they call timeout with 33 seconds left at the 1-yard line, it made no sense. Now, if they were able to sort of score in the last 10 seconds, now I'm with you. Go for 2 and stick the stake in the heart, and now Mahomes has no chance to beat you. I think that with whatever it was, I think it was like 23 seconds or something like that. I think that's ample time for Mahomes to go down and kick a field goal, and I think that in a tie game, he's less likely to do that because he's not going to take any chances. He's going to play it safe and make sure the worst that happens here is we're going to get to overtime.
I can't lose the game.
And, I mean, as it was, they punted on 4th and 1 or 2 at the end. They would have gone for that.
Yeah. I guess you're right there. But as soon as did you see on the coin flip? It looked like as soon as Baker lost, he was like, "Fuck!" Like, sorry, you're gonna drop me now.
Oh, jeez.
All right, thanks, Kai.
I missed that. What?
He dropped an F-bomb.
He dropped an F-bomb.
When Baker lost
Mayfield,
the toss, he was like, "Oh, F."
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game.
Yeah, I was watching.
No, it was on the highlight. They put it on the highlights
Yeah.
of him being like,
Yeah.
do one of those.
Still don't like NFL overtime.
Manny's in New Bedford. What's up, Manny?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So question, I want to see what you guys think about this, but do you guys think that there could be a potential that Drake Maye leaves after 5 years or 4 or 5 years? Because I look at this organization now and I feel like there's so many gaps, whether it comes to the coaching, front office, inability to draft the players we have on our roster. And if I'm Drake Maye after 4 or 5 years, hey, you guys had 5 years to figure it out. Like, and you guys still haven't figured it out.
Listen, Manny, if they haven't figured it out in 4 or 5 years, I'm going to be with them. So
I have advice. I have advice for Manny. 2 to 6, Monday through Friday on the Sports Hub. Mike Felger, Tony Maserati. That's your show.
Right.
That's the call for that show.
I'm thinking about the Bears. He's thinking about 4 to 5 years.
I don't think we're going to be able to extend them. So what's the use?
Thanks, man. No,
Might as well trade him
We're
now.
just kidding around, man.
No, I get it. I understand
obviously,
what he's saying.
If they haven't done anything to improve this team after 4 to
man.
5 years, if I'm Drake Maye's agent, I'm telling him you have to leave.
I mean,
But
Trevor Lawrence didn't leave
That's
Jacksonville.
really
like,
pessimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You pay him $60 million a year, he'll probably stay.
Ron
really
in
just
Conway,
doesn't
New
like it.
Hampshire. As I listen to the show, I'm actually upset that they lost, but excited at the same time. My point is simply this. I remember back in the spring when all of you were wanting Maye to start the season. Also, you all had said that with Maye, mistakes would come, and as fans, we had to be patient. Even though their record sucks now, Maye is legit and one of the very few playmakers on the team that, and he just so happens to be our starting quarterback. My only question is, why does the offense constantly have to be shuffled? I think he meant offensive line. Constantly have to be shuffled. With the offense being so young, is that just growing pains? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think it might continue, honestly, with the shuffling. As much as you can make the case for continuity, like Michael Jordan's play is just going in the dumps. So I would think that with Robinson, with maybe Cole Strange factors in here by the end of the year too. Like those are 3 young guards that you drafted relatively early, and this like fringe NFL player in Michael Jordan. Like it's probably going to be time at some point to turn it over left guard to one of those guys. That might even be as soon as next week. So I think the shuffling is going to continue.
I just go back to Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace. I'd love to feel like you get something out of those guys. And right now, my confidence level in either one of those emerging as a penciled-in starter for 2025 is non-existent. So, I mean, they have some games left. I think Robinson could get another shot. But at a certain point, some of these guys have to play better.
And it's part of that whole thing too. Like you bring in Ben Brown for someone else's practice squad and he plays, and you're like, oh wow, it wasn't that bad. Like maybe they got something here. And then he plays 4 games in a row, and Quinnen Williams dominates him, and Tavondre Sweat dominates him. And I'm not criticizing Ben Brown; those guys should dominate Ben Brown. But now it's like,
it's reality.
Michael Jordan, a practice squad guy. We bring him up. Wow, he's been like their best lineman in the first couple of games, and then he keeps playing, and you sort of watch him a little bit more. And this was a tough game for him, I think.
Yeah, 5 quarterback pressures allowed, couple run stuffs. I mean, he's struggling. And Ben Brown was bad too.
Like you can get like guys that can play. Like Michael Jordan can, he can play, but like you need to probably be better than that. Yeah. And you would hope that between Strange, and Robinson, one of those guys is significantly better than Michael Jordan.
Certainly has more upside.
Yeah.
Save us, Cole Strange. Here we are.
It's crazy, but they kind of need him in a way. Now
Like
he's
as
not
a center, maybe as a guard.
Yeah, I
whatever.
think it's probably crazy to put him in at center midway through the season like this, but like left guard, I mean, he's probably a better left guard than Michael Jordan is.
I wonder if we'll see him on the practice field soon.
Well, we'll know tomorrow. maybe
They asked us to
I don't
interview
think,
him.
I don't think you're going to see him this week.
They asked us to interview him at halftime this weekend, so I guess
No,
not.
he can return to practice anytime.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Podcast at patriots.com is the email address. And just a reminder, if you want to get the weekly PU newsletter via email, all you have to do is email podcast at patriots.com. Everybody who emails will automatically be put into the list to receive the newsletter. You can always opt out once you get it if you don't like it, but I think you will. So even if you don't have a question to the show, anything to say, just simply email podcast at patriots.com and we'll get your name signed up for the newsletter.
And I
So
think
don't
you
miss
will
that.
like it too, because there's a lot of really unnecessary shots at me.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I think
it's not totally unnecessary.
and I
for
think
being
and I
honest.
think people will enjoy it. They just the reporter that puts together the newsletter,
Alex.
shoddy work.
No.
Just terrible reporting.
Oh.
Just terrible reporting, taking all kinds of hearsay and
That's
and,
okay.
and untruths
We're
and,
supposed to have
and
fun
put them
with
out
it.
there, putting them out there.
Where's this person's journalistic integrity?
Yeah.
I mean,
Just none, Alexandra.
Yeah,
I thought I
Alex
taught you
is
better
putting
than
it
that.
together. So
I didn't want to
yeah.
mansplain basketball to this kid, but
Yeah, just email podcast at patriots.com and you will start getting the newsletter.
Do we want some trade deadline
What do we
breaking
got?
news?
What do we
So
got? Marshawn Lattimore?
Marshawn Lattimore goes to from New Orleans to Washington for quite a package here. The New Orleans is getting a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick.
Wow.
For Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th round pick. So one of those is kind of like the 6th for the 5th is kind of like
So
a
2 picks.
pick swap.
Two
and,
picks and a pick swap.
Mike Williams dealt from the
Jets.
Jets to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 5th round pick.
So that's like the 6th receiver that moved.
Yeah, right.
So quite a bit of action.
Rogers
I would
was like,
say.
him, gone.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell has
He
told
redlined
teams,
it.
I need you to make trades at the trade deadline so that we can create another event.
Correct. That's a good point.
I stand by my point. I think the NFL trade deadline over the last 5 or 6 years has gotten
Heated
bigger.
up.
It's gotten bigger.
Okay. All right.
I mean, some of those. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore's that's a significant acquisition for
we didn't
Washington.
mention also Dennis Allen getting fired.
Yeah.
From the Saints.
God can't.
Yeah.
Is there a way,
Bonds
can
around.
I hear what the cap is crap people weigh in on the New Orleans of it all? And I just saw some pushback on.
I'm a cap is crap
like, yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah.
But you can't be 60 whatever million over it either. Like, I mean, there are rules. Like, you can't violate.
have to take
you
it
can't
seriously.
violate it. So like, I'm not going to be that stubborn about it.
I kind of feel like the Saints have like I agree with you for the most part, but like the way they manage the cap is kind of cool. It's kind of like they have a line of credit and they realize that it's never going to come due. So if we just keep kicking the can down the road every single year, it's not like some like henchman's going to come down to our offices and like demand the $60 million right now. So it's like, having a credit card. Like they realize that they can rack up all this debt because it's just never going to become due.
And in fairness, when it was Peyton and Breeze, they were in contention every year.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, and
Yeah,
you're
we're
not in
willing to
contention
stick it
anymore.
out.
Yeah.
Like, is it because you're over the cap or because you're not that good?
Yeah.
Ben in Brooklyn writes in, not sure if it's been mentioned before about Drake Maye, but I believe he completed passes to 9 or 10 different receivers, wide receiver, tight end, running back, not all of whom are all pro. I think this is a good sign. Separately, it seems like Marcus Jones has been big in their recent rallies. Given the lack of electric playmakers, don't you think he should get 2 or 3 touches on offense?
Yeah.
To bring that up with Marcus Jones.
That first thing he says is a little misleading. I
Why?
mean, it's like a lot of guys had one catch. Like,
Yeah. I know, but I think
they're struggling.
He's just saying he's willing to distribute.
They're struggling in the passing
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Can we just say it like the way it
Oh,
is?
yeah.
Like, they don't have any wide receivers that are any, but it's Hunter Henry. It's the only guy I feel good about when the ball gets thrown to him. That's it. They also had a ton of screens in this game, that none of which picked up any yards.
One of them, the one that Hasty got lit up on,
That was a nice play by that linebacker.
I'm not 100% sure that everybody knew it was a screen.
I love when Evan has his little stories about film study like that. They just make me laugh.
I'm just being honest. Like I'm not in any of their heads. Like so I couldn't tell you for sure, but it looked to me like half the guys were running a drop back play and half the guys were running a screen, and that's what happens. And then the linebacker flies and almost puts Jermichael Hasty into next Wednesday.
But that's the
So,
stuff that I
good stuff.
hear from my son, and when they use one of the dorky linemen,
Yeah.
and that's the stuff that I hear when they do, like, yeah, Reed didn't know it was a screen. I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, yeah. Afterwards, you're saying, well, I heard 500, and I'm like, how did everybody hear screen? There's like 2 linemen out in front of the guy who's catching the ball, and there's one like just aimlessly pass blocking nobody. Like, how does that happen? You know, and it's high school, so you get it. They're kids. But like, Evan's saying this stuff about the NFL.
Well, I just saw on one of Paul's shows, and I'm not taking a shot at Phil. I'm sure his reporting is 100% accurate, but he said that Titans coaches were praising the Patriots' offensive
I actually
system.
heard him say this last night on the early edition, whatever that show is.
I would love to know what system, and not the just like Drake May system.
Yeah.
Like what do you like about the system? Because they can't run the ball and they can't get anybody open. So I'm not really understanding like what fundamentally is so great about the system that they're trying to run.
The verbiage.
Like,
do you still see a lot of examples where receivers and route running seem to be convoluted?
At times, I thought it was worse last week than it was this week. It was a little bit better, I would say, this week. But when you play a defense like the Titans, who ran like 87% of their dropbacks were in zone coverage. Zone coverage is all about scheme. Like, man-to-man is when it's on the receivers to get open. Like, you got to beat the guy across from you. When you face zone coverage defenses, it's on the play caller to get guys open, to put guys in conflict and move guys and things like that. And so when you don't have production in the passing game against a zone defense, you look at the design of the plays and the scheming of what's going on.
So I'd be interested if some of our listeners can help us out. I see, because we're watching, one of my shows, The Beetle and the Zoo, as Fred says. Bill Belichick evidently unveiled his all-Belichick team.
I did see this, and he had about 17 guys he either coached or are currently on
Chris
the
Board.
Patriots.
Chris Board made it. Old friend Chris Board.
Chris Board made it.
Board.
I think there was 4
He's back
guys.
on the Ravens.
So you guys are already aware of this. I don't need the listeners to help
I
us
saw
out.
some highlights. I think Marcus Jones was on it. There were a few special
Marcus
teams
Jones.
guys.
Oh, he must have 27 special teams guys.
Well, it was offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah, but they must be more special teamers than anything else.
Yeah, but
Chris
if
Board and Marcus
four
Jones.
Patriots, either current or ex-special teamers, made the list. It was Schooler, Marcus Jones, Christian Ellis as a special teamer, and Chris Board. So, didn't give it to Joe Cardona, though. Yeah, I didn't see his name on there.
James Pettigrew, the most interesting Patriots fan in the world, writes in, we knew the Patriots would suck, but I'm not sure how we were meant to suck and it looked good for Mayo. To that end, which of the 9 2-win teams coaches is doing a good job? Titans, Browns, Dolphins, Panthers, Jags, Raiders, Saints, Patriots, and Giants. Well, the Saints guy got fired,
right?
Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue any of those guys are doing a good job. Some of them are more extenuating. I would say the Miami one is a little bit more extenuating. Like, they had to play a big chunk of their season without their quarterback. And then since he's been back, they kind of look like they always do. They just, you kind of spiral out of control. You're losing games. The last 2 games, my guess is the last 2 games, they would not have lost them both had they not lost whatever many they lost when Tyler Huntley was playing. Those are kind of losses the last 2 weeks that losing teams find a way to lose. The Arizona game that they lose at the buzzer, and then the Buffalo game, they had every opportunity to win. I don't know. I still think McDaniel's a good coach.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of the bloom is off the rose, and he's not quite this mad scientist that everybody made him out to be, but I still think he knows what he's doing.
He's definitely in the category of, like, is he a great offensive coordinator or is he a great head coach?
Absolutely fair question.
He's one of the best play callers and offensive coaches in the league. There's no doubt about that.
But, like, Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, like, that's not just about Deshaun Watson. The team's not playing well.
Yeah.
Their offense, you kind of won this whole power struggle. Like, I'm going to call the plays, and, all these guys got to go. I got to get – you have your whole coaching staff the way you want it, and you're 2-7.
Yeah. For the Patriots, this is where the rubber meets the road for me. And I thought, this is about 2 wins. Like, at this point in the season, halfway through, 2-3 wins, thought they'd be about here. Now it's, are people buying into the system? Are the coaches learning from their mistakes? Are players improving under this coaching staff? I'm fine if they only win a few more games this season, but we talked about it all off season, what it looks like. It peaks at the end. It starts to look better. There's something brewing here.
Can you button up some of the details?
Well, I think James's point is, can anything look good if you're a 2-win team?
See, I think you can. I think you can look like I think Arizona last year didn't win a lot of games, but a lot of people said that Gannon really had that team buying in, playing hard, and not beating itself.
Okay.
Now, I didn't watch Arizona every week, so maybe that's garbage. Maybe they
their
did.
offense a lot.
Maybe they did beat themselves constantly. But I'm sorry, kicking off into the wind, not taking the wind in overtime is an inexcusable gaffe. Like, I want an end to the coaching. Evan had a 10-minute dissertation on 3 glaring mistakes that the coaches
took
made.
so long.
Jerry's
I was trying to keep it to like 3.
No, but I'm saying, like, it was valid.
Thank you.
Like, I don't know that, I think that you can be a bad team and still be well coached.
Okay.
I think the Detroit Lions, the first year of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge Dan Campbell guy. I think he's more of a rah-rah kind of psychopath, but
works so far.
I think that he showed signs of toughness and instilled an identity on that team in a 3-13-1 season.
You just want to see the coaching set the players up for the best chance to win the game. And it just feels like the decision before the game to start Layden Robinson and then the decisions in game with the wind and all that. Like, these are things that you already have an uphill battle. Like, you're already pushing the rock up the hill. So
isn't it Belichick that said, coaches can only really lose games? I mean, I know he's being humble, but
you don't believe that he believes that, do you?
Well, he said it.
I know he said it, but you don't believe that he believes it.
No, but I get kind of the point. It's you can put all the players in the best position possible, but eventually they have to go out and make the plays. But you can do things to make good players lose games as a coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't put them in the right positions.
Right.
Yeah, but
I mean, I just say I'm willing to accept some bumps in the road. I mean, this is what we signed up for when you're hiring Jerod Mayo, who hadn't coached a football team before. So, but it has to get better. Like, we can't. I mean, Paul said if it was 2025 and we watched that Drake Maye, he wouldn't be happy. If we're watching these kind of coaching mistakes happen next year, that's not acceptable anymore.
Well, at some point, Jerod has to show what he does well. Like, for the quarterback, he's making mistakes, but we see what he can do well.
Right.
And we see that, wow, there's room for improvement here, but we can see how it will happen. With Jerod as a head coach, it's not as evident because he's not out there, but what does he do well? What is he, I think we all talked about before, like, is he a defensive tactician? Is he a rah-rah guy, which is okay? Like, what is he as a coach? What is his identity?
Like, and selfishly, like, I'm looking at, like, even this game. Like, yeah, it's 2-7. Who cares? But I care. Like, you have a matchup like this. I want to watch Drake Maye and Caleb Williams get in a shootout. Like, that would be awesome. Selfishly, I'd like to see if Chicago can sort of, shake off the doldrums from that Hail Mary that clearly they took into Arizona last week and played a lousy game. I'd like to see Caleb Williams play well and Drake Maye play well and have these two guys that conceivably could be the face of the league 5 years from now. Wouldn't that be, a lot of fun to watch? It doesn't have to be, oh, woe is us. We're 2-7. We have nothing to watch. We have nothing to be excited about. I think there were a lot of things to be excited about on Sunday, and I'd like to see more of them. If Chicago can play well as
screw
this
them.
week.
I hope we put up a 50 burger on them.
I love it.
No, but wouldn't it?
Let's just make sure we have the win in the winning city. Like, let's get it squared away.
Like, listen, winning the game is like they need to try to win the game. I get that, but wouldn't you feel better if you felt like Chicago came to play and you beat them?
Sure.
Then if Chicago continues to roll over like they did on Sunday, I think they will too. I think they felt bad for themselves and they had a bad. Plus Arizona's playing well right now.
I like it if the Bears came to play and our defense shut them down. But anyway.
Yes. Like they came to play, but Chicago really played hard.
Yeah.
They didn't play hard. I watched it. They gave up a 53-yard touchdown with 4 seconds left.
They did.
53-yard run. It was like remember the Titans.
Yeah.
when the game-winning touchdown is a 75-yard run.
Backside George reverse.
Fun fact, did you know that the Windy City, the nickname for Chicago, is not because of the wind? The Chicago is actually like the 4th or 5th windiest city in the country. It's because of politics, because of the bluster of the politicians. It's back of the turn of the century.
So I was writing this morning, and I was thinking, like, does people in Chicago hate the Windy City as much as we hate Beantown? Like, is it like, because I was gonna write Windy City, but I was like, if they hate Windy City, I can relate.
Isn't there one of those city things that you say the people that are from there hate?
Yeah. So if you're from San Francisco,
that's it.
You hate when people call you San Fran.
Oh, I thought it was Frisco.
Oh, maybe it's Frisco. Maybe it's Frisco,
Yeah.
right.
San
They
Fran's
hate when
cool.
they call it Frisco. And people from Oregon hate it when you say Oregon.
Oregon. Well, that's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do it. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Frisky Cardinals.
Remember when I was talking to you about all my various centers over the years?
Oh, yeah.
Dennis O'Donnell,
Let's get
John
back to it.
Shenna.
Yeah.
You know, put
Yeah.
it right there.
Yeah.
So I'm playing golf on Saturday.
Yeah.
Up in New Hampshire, and you know, we get to the next tee box. It's like 3 guys on the tee box, and I have like a Peabody baseball shirt. And he goes, "Oh, Peabody." And he was like, "Did you grow up there?" No, I actually grew up in Everett. Oh, Everett. We used to. He goes, "Years ago, we used to coach UMass Lowell football. We had a great kid from Everett, John Shenna. I swear to God. I haven't thought of the guy in 35 years. Like the guy's like waxing poetic about John Shenna out of nowhere." I was like, it's funny. Just told a story about him on the radio.
I know his rear end intimately.
I thought you were going to say, I saw some guy bending over at the tee box to load up his.
I actually said it to the guy. I go, "Great center. Put it right there every time." He started laughing.
Speaking of rear ends, I have been watching that Aaron Hernandez documentary. A lot of bare
So
men's
where's this
spots,
going?
But
I was gonna say
I've seen the first 6 episodes. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Who plays Kirsch in it? Is there a Fred Kirsch?
They haven't done. I haven't seen any staff yet. Yeah, but it's not as bad.
That'll be episode 10. The
He
final
doesn't have his
episode.
SAG card,
What-
uncredited.
what are you up to?
As Fred Kirsch.
I watch it weekly. I'm caught up.
Yeah, so I
tomorrow is episode 9.
Yeah, I've only seen
No,
6, but it's not terrible.
It's actually not.
No.
Like from like an unintentional comedy perspective, or like a good
No, the only
television
unintentional
drama?
comedy I think was Kraft and and Belichick. That was a little bit.
See, I think the guy that does Belichick is spot on.
Yeah.
Good.
I
From
just
the
can't do
clips that I see.
Well,
I just can't do the football.
I don't know, when he's in his office, like, rocking out to Bon Jovi by himself.
So that's a little bit of a caricature.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Episode 8 is great. I have to admit. That's the Odin Lloyd episode.
There's some football movies that nail the actual football. This TV show is not one of them.
What, the Hernandez one?
Yeah.
But they use actual, and by the way, not only did they use actual Florida footage, they're using actual Patriots footage. So you'll see the wide angle, and it's Tom Brady throwing to Aaron Hernandez, and then they zoom in, and it's back to the actual characters. But they use the real NFL footage.
I don't know. I saw him try to run a
enough
route
for Evan.
on like the practice
when it's
field.
close up, it's them, you know.
And I'm like,
but the
can we at
wide,
least get somebody that's in shape?
but the
Like-
wide angle, the wide angle is the actual footage.
So what football movie would you say is the other way? Like
The
they got the football
the
pretty
best
good.
football movie for the actual
Little
football
Giants?
The program.
is Gridiron Gang with The Rock is the coach.
Exhibit?
Yeah, and Exhibit.
Is that the one that they filmed here?
Exhibit?
I don't.
No, that
think
was
so.
Game Plan.
Game Plan.
So this is like he's in the prison and he takes.
Yeah, I know the premise of the movie.
The
I don't
kids
think I
in
ever
the
saw
prison
it.
and they form a football team, and a lot of those kids were former D1 football players, and they all actually play pretty good football when you watch it.
What was the one where Charlton Heston is the quarterback and he ends up getting killed at the end of the game?
Ben-Hur? What?
No. he gets hit in the helmet. He gets hit in the at the end, and like
Chariot.
at the end they show like blood coming out of his ear.
Oh,
Like he,
not aware of that
Yeah,
movie.
no.
I would also say
Not
that
old enough.
Number 1.
number one
Oh.
was Charlton Heston. Yeah.
Friday Night Lights, the movie, is also pretty good. Actual football. A lot of those kids played college football and stuff like that too.
What about Black Sunday? Remember Black Sunday, Paul?
I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
geez.
was actual footage of the Steelers and Cowboys.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl,
Is that
right?
what, like the hot air balloon?
Hot air balloon,
Or
Yeah,
Zeppelin? Was it
yeah,
Zeppelin?
yeah.
The other funny thing this Aaron
Could be a
Hernandez
blimp.
show is doing is they're showing Gillette Stadium from the helicopter shots when they show the area, but then they go to practice and they're practicing alongside like 93. It's pretty funny to see.
Yeah.
So wait, they're just getting the murder in the second to last episode?
Well, it's the third murder.
Oh, right.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was going to say the
Dang
story
it.
kind of ends shortly after that.
Right.
I'm not sure if you remember.
Right.
Next episode's prison, then episode 10 is Kirk Minahan kills him.
Let's go back to the TPX hotline,
poor Kirk.
855-PATS-500. Sam is in North Carolina. What's up, Sam? Sam.
Sing it for me,
Sam
Sammy.
in North Carolina.
You got another
No,
move?
He's gone.
Oh.
No.
Okay,
I'm
we'll
just
go
upset
down to
about that.
we'll go up to Philadelphia. Willem and Philem. What's up, William?
Hey, Fred, how you doing?
All right.
All right. First and foremost, let's acknowledge the queen in the room. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
She is not here.
No, not
No
here.
Alex today.
Oh, she's not there? Oh,
Thursdays.
okay.
I
Oh,
don't
Thursday,
do
okay.
drugs.
Anyway, let me just get right to it, basically. All right. I don't need to see anything more about Drake May. I after what he did yesterday, this Sunday, I'm good. I'm fine. I do not need to see anything more about him. He's a dual threat quarterback to me, and I just want to see better pieces around him. You know what I mean? I don't want to see like a Nelson Aguilar or KJ Osborne or Austin Hooper. No, man, come on. Or Adam Thielen that I'm hearing that they talking about trading for. A veteran that's 34, 35 years old? Come on, fellas, y'all can do better than that. I mean, come on, we're 5 years into this. You know, he needs better talent. I mean, y'all cannot even disagree with that. I mean, this is every year. You know, and my last take is this with Paul. Like, Paul, the past few times I called in, and you will usually say something after I get off the phone, and I'll be like, okay. And I want to give you pushback to what my question was, though, and I can't even do that because I'm off now, so I'm listening to what you're saying. Like, when I was talking about Elliot Wolf.
Yeah, say it to his face.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
Sneaky. Wait till he's off the line.
I don't have
You know
control
what I
of
mean?
when your call starts and
You want
ends.
to protect Elliot Wolf, Joe, and whatnot, and then I was like, why is he even protecting this guy? I don't care if it's his first
I
year
want to
or not, Paul.
protect Elliot Wolf.
I don't know. Well,
I'm
listen
asking.
to him.
I'm asking you, like, when you was like, no one said anything about Elliot Wolf, baby, good or bad, you haven't heard anything. I don't care as far as you heard anything. What I'm saying is this. He just got the job. I get that. You mean to tell me out of free agency, you couldn't even make a dynamic trade or nothing, and you're going to give this man, KJ Osborne, that's on social media. We got a second-round pick, Jalen Polk, though, that got the best hands in the league, though, but can't prove it, though.
Like, these are things
Seriously?
that I've defended?
You're a rookie. You ain't did nothing. You gotta put your head down in the books and let's go. You know what I mean? All that talk don't mean nothing. Even my boy Javon Baker, I can make people in a wheelchair stand up.
He
Really?
did run 2 good routes on Sunday. I
Yeah.
want to see more Javon Baker.
Okay, so you're down. So you're saying Elliot Wolf is picking the wrong guy. He's not looking in.
Who's saying he's picking the right
Really,
ones,
Fred,
just out of
Fred,
curiosity?
you don't
the right
think he's picking the
quarterback.
wrong guys, Fred?
Well, so
that
far,
was a no-brainer.
so
He's the
far
only
the
one
people
left.
he's picked in this draft have not worked out that well, except for, of course, the most important one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I
And
would
that's the
just
only one that didn't require any thought.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Well, a lot of
One
people
more
were
and
saying
then
trade
I'm
down.
off the air.
Yeah, well, that would have been dumb.
Just
Okay. Well, people are dumb.
Fred, just one more.
You don't
for
trade down in a 3-quarterback
for you,
draft at
Fred.
number 3.
Yeah. What's that? Well,
Hey, one more for you, Fred, and this is for Paul too. Paul, I would love to see Caleb Williams go against Drake May. I just want Drake May weapons to be just as good as Caleb Williams' weapons. Where's our DJ Moore? You know what I'm saying? Where's
Out of bounds.
Where's our Roman Duzak? Who's that? You know what I mean? Let's even the pattern. Let's even the battlefield here. You know what I mean? Because Drake don't have those weapons, man. He don't.
No,
I wouldn't
he
want to
doesn't.
I would
Not
like
yet.
to see that. I just want the team to be even. You know what I mean? On both ends.
okay.
I just
He
think-
doesn't. I just don't know. See, now you can't talk.
No, you
Well, you gotta,
I don't know, like, who is defending the refusal to get an offensive tackle, as an example. Something I've railed against and gotten killed for on Twitter. Right? Who's defending the fact that they don't have any tackles? Who's defending Elliot Wolf, period?
This is something that I feel like has happened this year, that I've seen this turn, that people think that people like us in the media are like going easy on Mayo and on Elliott Wolf, and I don't think we are, first of all, but I would say just second, like, it's been one off season. So
yeah, but it hasn't been good.
It hasn't been good.
And I don't know anyone who says it has been.
Right, and we've all said exactly what you're saying, but my point is like, no, he doesn't have all these weapons, but I am willing to at least give them another year, another off season to try to put those pieces around him, because they needed to use their top draft pick on the quarterback this time around. So let's see what they do. Eventually, in 2 to 3 years, if it's still where we're at, then they're going to be looking for new leadership. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah, just speaking for myself, the only one that I'm sort of easy on is Maye. Like, I accentuate the plays that he makes, not the ones that he doesn't.
So let me ask, I'm just posing this.
I'm guilty of that.
I'm just posing this. I hope I don't get walked out of the building after I say this. But
walked out of the building?
I'm assuming that over the past 4 or 5 years that haven't been good here, that Robert Kraft knows who's been actually picking these players. Like, we all assume it's Bill, right? But what if, like, Bill was actually collaborating? What if he was listening to Matt Groh and Elliott Wolf? Would Kraft know that? Would Kraft know that, Cole Strange really was a Matt Groh pick? It wasn't Bill.
Yeah.
Like, does he know that? And if he did know that, would Elliott Wolf still be here? Or would he have kicked him out the door with Bill Belichick?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the fact that Elliott Wolf and Matt Groh are still here means that they really didn't have as much say as you would have hoped in the past. But I don't know that. I don't know that. But I'm hoping Robert Kraft does.
Yeah. I mean, I think I talked a little about this last week where you don't know for sure, but I think, to your point, Fred, if you knew that Tyquan Thornton and Cole Strange were pound-the-table picks for when Bill was allowing people, I mean, it never came out that he was allowing these guys to really rise up and make decisions like that. But, it is part of, like, the scouting department's a whole department, and I feel like there's a machine, and it kind of like kicks it up from the bottom, and all of a sudden a handful of names come up, and then, it's up to the guys at the top.
I'm sure they all build that board together.
Yeah.
And that's the board that they go by.
But, like, look, the bottom line, though, is that how many years have we had bad drafts? And that's just the lifeblood of the franchise. And as much as you want to give Elliott Wolf time, like, time is running out because there's no draft picks from the last couple years that you can really salvage. So, if this draft ends up being as bad as it looks right now, which it might not, I mean, guys might come back. It's certainly possible. But it's hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them to, come out of just getting Drake Maye out of their first draft.
The optimistic view is just that this coming up off season, they're going to have a boatload of cap space, and they're probably going to have high draft picks in each round again. Maybe they even get to negotiate a trade down scenario at the top of the draft because they don't need a quarterback. And they're going to have a lot of resources at their fingertips that I think this year, as much as, it frustrates us, it frustrates William and all this year was kind of a reset year. Like, let's take the quarterback because he fell in our laps, but let's see, what the rest of this roster looks like. And, just as a draft person, like, I don't really Layden Robinson not working out in the 4th round, like, I'm not going to kill him for it. I'm not going to Jalen Polk is a fair second guess.
That's one.
But, like, I just look at some of these other picks, and it's just like, if you're counting on 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th round picks, like, turning the tide here, then we're going to be in for a world of hurt.
If I'm Robert Kraft, and if I don't already know the answer, this last offseason, I'm asking Groh and Wolf, how did you feel about the last 4 years? Were you on board? Like, what would you have done in that first round 3 years ago? What would you in the second round? And obviously now it's easy for Wolf to say, yeah, Cole Strange, the Rams were right to laugh at us, but, like, I hope he knows the real answer to those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 drafts, they've picked, obviously, Drake and Christian Gonzalez with their first-round picks. I think those are both good first-round picks.
Yeah, but if you're going to give them credit for Gonzalez last year, then do you give them the blame
I know.
for the
I'm
other
just
ones?
saying, like, it's more about, like, the fact that not every draft pick is going to work
Oh,
out.
of course not.
And
You're lucky to get 2 good ones.
Right. So the fact of the matter is that like they come out of this draft and Drake is a franchise quarterback. This entire draft is a success. Like I don't. The rest of the draft picks could all be busts, but if Drake Maye is a franchise quarterback, then they did their job this offseason.
I think that's being generous.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing is absolutely what Evan said.
It's not so much and like
if Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, neither one of them can play,
right?
That's a bad draft.
And that's different than Polk isn't as good as we hope. We're talking about if he's a bust.
I'm saying he's Tyquan Thornton or
Right.
Aaron Dobson,
Right.
or, one of these other second
Then
round.
that's a whiff.
Chad
That's
Jackson.
a miss. And like I go back to Cole Strange, that was an overreach. I don't know whose pick that was, but you didn't need to do that. You
Yeah, now
could
it's
have gotten
obviously-
him 2 or 3 rounds later.
Obviously, if the quarterback hits, I can make up for that bad draft.
Sure.
So I have the talent in place.
Yeah.
So now, okay, I missed with Polk.
But how
I
much
missed with
better
Baker.
would your team be if you had,
Right. But but he's going to allow you the chance to erase it and do a do-over and say, okay, I was wrong that time, but now I got these guys that are going to fit
Let's
in.
just see what their offseason looks like when it's not their first year on the job and they're taking over
Fair
a
enough.
4-win football
Fair
team.
enough.
And they have the quarterback. They feel like they have him in place. I look, as someone that loves the draft and pores over the draft every single year, like predicting what these guys after the top 50 are going to turn out to be, it is really, really, really hard. So I do have some grace with that because I try to do it myself.
I am not on the fire Elliott Wolf bandwagon. I'm with you. Let's see what he does this offseason. But I would like to know the answer to the question, how on board were the guys that are still here with what's happened in the last 4 years and what really did happen? What was it like? When when they chose Mac Jones and Bill says, almost to the camera, we all on board with this? Was that a snide kind of shot at Robert Kraft, or was he really more collaborative those days? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would like to know.
Yeah, I'm not like trying to purposely defend Elliott Wolf. I just feel like, the biggest thing to me is that they have the quarterback now. And moving forward, everything can be about now building the roster around the QB.
Right.
So all of your resources can now be thrown at those problems.
Yep.
So let's give him an offseason to see, when he has money, when he has draft capital, to add a top receiver, to add a left tackle, to add another pass rusher. Like, if he whiffs on everything or whiffs on most of it, then we're going to be talking about general manager
And
candidates.
just as important, I think, as the draft is, how does he get free agents in here? How does he lure them into this team that's probably going to, at best, win 4 games this year? How does he get these free agents to come here?
Yeah, we were talking to. Yeah,
well, no,
right.
Absolutely.
But he needs home runs.
Yeah.
He needs home
So
runs.
they're going to need to win some games.
Yeah.
I think everything you guys said is true, but at a certain point, you can't just hit one player every offseason. And we got that. He has to hit a bunch of home runs next spring, like free agency.
They got to kind of
the
be like
draft,
the 49ers.
And we knew we were going to build around the quarterback last year. You still missed on a guard and a tackle, and maybe 2 receivers. I get the patient thing, but
if it turns out,
I'm sorry, my confidence is not high right now.
So
based on what we've seen over the last year, my confidence is not
and
high.
you're not wrong to not have confidence. I just want to be fair because I've been one of these guys. A guy will, have a good game in his 3rd or 4th game, and we just they got him set. I mean, people were saying it about Polk off of the summer.
Right.
Nothing even in the preseason games. It was just training camp.
Yeah.
People were penciling him in as like that, and now all of a sudden, I think it's gone completely the other way where he's got no chance to rebound from this. I saw there was a thing on Twitter today that had him like 127th out of 127 qualifying receivers on PFF in terms of like 3 or 4 different categories, like separation and production, yards after the guy's played 9 games. He's been in the NFL for 9 games. Much like I thought it was unfair.
But he's going in the wrong direction,
I
Paul.
understand. Mike, that's why I said Mike's not wrong to not have confidence.
Well, he's going to lose his blogger emeritus badge over here.
I understand why Mike is not confident in it, but I thought it was kind of silly to declare him a hit based on him catching some passes in the training camp practices. Just like I think it's a little silly now to say there's no way he can bounce back from this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not looked good.
Right.
And I don't necessarily have faith. I just have no choice. Like so it's like I'm not sitting here saying that I have all this faith in the world that they're going to do the right thing. But Elliott Wolf is going to be the general manager next offseason. He's going to have $100 million in cap space, probably a top 5 pick in the draft, and they're going to give him the keys to go ahead and do the thing. So let's see what he does. Like that's all we can do.
Mike's in Dallas. What's up, Michael?
Yeah.
Hi.
What's up?
Talking to the phone.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Go for it.
So, obviously today's NFL trade deadline, and the Saints traded for Marshawn Lattimore, and seems like the Pats aren't going to do anything too serious. But I don't really understand the thought process behind that when you have a bad team that you have to just start selling off the few good pieces you have, like a Kendrick Bourne, for example. Why not be more aggressive and go back into the market and trying to add talent instead of using draft picks and kind of just praying that it works out? Thanks.
Yep. No, we talked about that the other day, and it's a good point. It's just that if you're a bad team and you're trying to build for the future, you just want to make sure that the talent you add isn't a quick fix, because there is no fix for this year. It's somebody who's going to be part of that rebuilding process. Those guys are probably a little harder to find right now.
But that's Evan's thing with Montez Sweat. Like you have to, you get a guy and then you have to be willing to re-sign him.
Right.
Yeah. I think those kind of moves too are more. You kind of have a guy you like. I think we all do the draft. We have like certain guys that you just kind of like. You have an eye on him. He's not really working out there, and it's not a name that any of us would pull out of a hat
Bill used to do that all the time.
And I wouldn't advocate selling off good pieces. I mean, this sounds very harsh, but I don't think they have a lot of good pieces. So, like, I'm not advocating, like, I wouldn't, let's say that Christian Barmore didn't have his blood clots. I wouldn't say, well, he could get us a high draft pick. No,
you need
Christian
talent.
Gonzalez. I'm not interested in trading Christian Gonzalez. But I'm sorry, like, your bevy of 3rd/4th receivers, if somebody wants one in particular, you can have them if I can get a draft pick for him.
Yeah, I thought I think it was Rap Sheet like kind of phrased it this way, getting a head start on free agency by trading
I like
for
that
a guy
terminology.
now instead, and everybody says, well, Mike Lombardi and Bill were killing that line of thinking. Actually, I don't know if Bill was, but Mike Lombardi was, which means Bill was, and Mike Lombardi's point was, well, just sign him in free agency. But it's like
now you're
competing with all these other teams, and just like we saw with Calvin Ridley, like he might not pick you in the end.
Like, what if you just? And I'm not telling you this would happen, but what if there was some way you could go back and you got Calvin Ridley in a trade from Jacksonville at the trade deadline last year, and he doesn't want to be with the Patriots. He doesn't really like the idea of being in Foxborough, but you have him in your system for eight weeks, and he's like, I kind of like the way they do things around here.
Five guys is right there.
Maybe now he's a little more interested in re-signing for you. That's the thought process.
Yeah,
like
Chick-fil-A too.
If the guy won't re-sign with you after you traded for him, then I'm sorry. There's very little chance he's going to sign with you as a free agent.
Right.
So I don't really see what the downside is of, to use, was it Crap Sheet you said?
I think it was him.
To use Ian Rappaport's phrase of getting a jump start on free agency.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah. Sam's back on North Carolina. Oh, jeez, I thought he was back.
What is that
He
busy
just
signal?
called to hang up again.
That was Sam Howell to talk up.
Boston Cream writes in.
To talk up Drake May.
Boston Cream says, may Paul be my guiding light when it comes to the Patriots. When the man speaks about Marcus Jones being one of the biggest threats in the league as a returner, it comes true in front of our eyes. Also, this was a perfect tank game for the Patriots. Drake May shows promise and development while we lose, which will help us get him better talent in the offseason.
Tanking for a tackle. Nothing like that.
Tanking for a tackle to take it 12.
I don't think you need to tank anymore.
I'm all set on
I'd love to tell you all the, bows that I should be able to take with Marcus Jones, but I'm sorry. Like the guy's been elite at that skill since he's been in the league. It's not something that I uncovered.
Jack in Ann Arbor says, did Elliott Wolf make a mistake by not drafting Ladd McConkey? You know my answer.
Might have.
I mean, he's been more productive than Jalen Polk.
Yeah, you'd have to trade it up probably to get him.
No, you just had to stay where you were.
Yeah, they
not trade
the
down.
original draft pick. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that he was picked earlier.
Yeah, we moved out of the spot.
Oh, we moved out. Right. Okay. That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We'll be back tomorrow at noon with another edition. Trade deadline's got another couple hours. We'll see what happens. I doubt much when it comes from the Patriots side, but we'll see. You never know.
Might pick up Justin Jefferson.
You never
Who
know.
knows?
All right,
That'd be
we'll talk
nice.
to you tomorrow.
Maybe Jordan Addison.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original